In today's fast-paced dating world, trying to attract mature women, those who value wisdom, emotional intelligence, and real confidence, can sometimes feel overwhelming. You might think it's about status, looks, or making a grand impression, but that's not the case. So, what does it actually take to attract a woman who has lived, learned, and values deeper qualities? The surprising answer is found in ancient Stoic philosophy. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to develop the traits that make you genuinely attractive to mature women, like emotional stability, inner confidence, and living with purpose. So, stay tuned if you want to unlock the secrets of Stoicism that will not only make you more attractive, but also bring a sense of peace and fulfillment to your life. 1. Confidence through Stoicism, the quiet power. When we hear about confidence, most people picture the loud, assertive type. The kind of person who walks into a room, makes themselves the center of attention, and tries to win over everyone. But if you've ever interacted with someone like that, you may have found that their bravado doesn't really impress in the long run. Instead, what really resonates, especially with mature women, is the quiet, unshakable kind of confidence that Stoicism teaches. In Stoic philosophy, true confidence isn't about external success or validation from others. It comes from within, knowing who you are, your values, and what's within your control. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This kind of confidence, rooted in inner stability, is much more attractive than the showy kind of confidence we often see in popular media. Let's consider a scenario. You're out on a date, and your date starts talking about something you don't know much about. Maybe it's a topic like art or literature. Now, many people in this situation might feel uncomfortable and try to pretend they know more than they do. But someone who embodies Stoic confidence would have no problem admitting, I don't know much about that, but I'd love to learn more. That simple admission shows you're secure enough not to pretend, and that kind of self-assuredness is extremely appealing. Now, compare that to someone who constantly boasts about their accomplishments or tries to impress by talking about their possessions. That kind of confidence often rings hollow, especially to mature women who've had enough life experience to see through the surface. Stoicism teaches that true confidence comes from living with integrity, staying true to your principles, and being comfortable with yourself, regardless of outside opinions. A great modern example of this comes from someone like Keanu Reeves. He's famously low-key, and despite his fame, he lives a simple life, riding public transport and avoiding the flashy lifestyle. People admire him not because he's trying to impress anyone, but because he's confident in who he is, without needing external validation. That's exactly the kind of confidence Stoicism teaches us to cultivate. 2. Emotional stability, the key to lasting attraction. Emotional stability is one of the most important traits that mature women look for in a partner. And it's no surprise, life can be stressful, unpredictable, and full of ups and downs. Being someone who can remain calm in the storm is incredibly valuable. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, life will throw challenges your way, but what counts is your ability to maintain control over your emotions. Mature women who have likely gone through their own share of life's challenges are particularly drawn to men who can stay grounded and steady in difficult times. Imagine you're in a relationship where every minor disagreement turns into a major argument. One partner immediately reacts with anger, frustration, or anxiety, while the other takes a step back, calmly assesses the situation, and tries to find a solution. Who do you think will be more attractive in the long run. Emotional intelligence, understanding your emotions and responding to them thoughtfully, is a skill that Stoicism helps you develop. For example, let's say your partner tells you she had a rough day at work. She's upset and venting about her boss. You have two options here. You could either react impulsively, adding your own frustrations and escalating the conversation, or you could take a step back, listen, and provide a calm, supportive response. The latter is what emotional stability looks like in practice, and it's a skill you can cultivate through Stoic practices like reflection and mindfulness. Another example. Imagine you're dealing with a stressful situation at work or in your personal life, and instead of letting it consume you, you approach it with calmness and perspective. You remind yourself, as the Stoics did, that some things are out of your control and not worth stressing over. This ability to stay level-headed is not only a powerful trait for your own well-being, but it also signals to others, especially mature women, that you can handle life's challenges with grace and composure. Mature women, who often value emotional intelligence and stability, are likely to appreciate a partner who can stay calm, especially when life gets tough. Someone who can approach conflicts with patience and understanding, rather than reacting impulsively, stands out in a positive way. 3. Living with purpose, a trait that stands out. One of the key aspects of Stoic philosophy is the importance of living with purpose. According to the Stoics, a meaningful life is one lived in accordance with virtue, focusing on what truly matters rather than being distracted by material success or fleeting pleasures. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This is about taking action and living with intention. And here's the thing. When you live with purpose, it's attractive. Not just to mature women, but to anyone. Purpose gives your life direction, and when you're grounded in that direction, it shows. Let's take a modern example. Think about someone like Elon Musk. Now, whether or not you agree with all of his methods or decisions, one thing is clear. He's a man on a mission. His focus on innovation, sustainability, and space exploration shows that he's driven by a larger purpose. This kind of focus and ambition, especially when aligned with positive values, can be very attractive. But purpose doesn't have to be about grand achievements. Living with purpose can be as simple as dedicating yourself to your career, being a good parent, volunteering in your community, or striving to live by your values every day. When you know what's important to you and you live by those principles, it radiates outward, making you someone who others, especially mature women, find compelling. For instance, let's say you have a passion for teaching, mentoring, or community service. This is the kind of purpose that speaks volumes about your character. It shows you're not just focused on yourself, but you're also dedicated to something greater. That depth of character is what draws people in. Another example, imagine you're a musician who plays not for fame or money, but because you're passionate about expressing yourself and bringing joy to others. That kind of dedication to something meaningful without the need for external rewards is exactly the kind of purpose-driven life that mature women admire. It shows that you're living by your values, not by society's expectations. When you live with purpose, it gives you a natural confidence and direction that is incredibly appealing. It's not about trying to impress others. It's about being true to yourself, and that authenticity shines through in every interaction. 4. Mastering non-attachment. The Stoic approach to attraction. One of the most valuable Stoic principles when it comes to relationships is the idea of non-attachment. This doesn't mean that you don't care about the people in your life, but rather, you don't allow your sense of self-worth to be dependent on external things, whether that's the approval of others or even the success of a relationship. Epictetus taught, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do." In relationships, this translates to not being overly attached to outcomes. When you're secure in yourself and not constantly seeking validation, you come across as more confident, grounded, and attractive. Think about a situation where someone is constantly checking their phone, waiting for a reply from the person they're interested in. That kind of neediness can be off-putting. Now, imagine someone who is confident enough to give space, to not obsess over every little interaction. They're not playing games. They're simply secure in themselves and aren't overly attached to whether or not the relationship works out. That kind of calm detachment is incredibly attractive because it shows emotional maturity and self-respect. Here's another relatable example. You've just gone on a couple of dates with someone and you're excited about where it's going. But instead of anxiously analyzing every word of your conversations or overthinking her responses, you practice non-attachment. You enjoy the process, but you're not clinging to a specific outcome. Whether the relationship progresses or not, you remain calm and composed. This kind of emotional independence signals to the other person that you're confident and self-sufficient, which again is highly attractive. Mature women, in particular, are likely to appreciate this kind of approach. After all, they've likely encountered people who are overly attached, needy, or constantly seeking validation. When they meet someone who is secure, not just in their relationship but in themselves, it stands out. Short story, The Stoic Confidence of John and Susan. Let me tell you a quick story that ties all these Stoic principles together: confidence, emotional stability, living with purpose, and non-attachment. John, a man in his early 40s, had always been a bit of a late bloomer. He didn't start dating seriously until his mid-30s, and by that time, he felt like he was behind the curve. But John wasn't looking for just anyone. He valued deep conversations, emotional intelligence, and shared life experiences. He had tried dating women his age and younger, but he felt something was missing. He couldn't connect on the level he was searching for. One day, through mutual friends, John met Susan, a successful, self-assured woman in her mid-50s. She had lived through her fair share of ups and downs, career changes, relationships, and raising children. From the moment they met, John was drawn to her, but he wasn't sure how to approach someone with so much life experience. Here's where Stoic principles came into play. John wasn't the loudest or most outgoing man in the room. Instead, he practiced the quiet confidence we talked about earlier. He didn't try to impress Susan with grand gestures or boast about his achievements. Instead, he was simply present. He listened when she spoke, asked thoughtful questions, and admitted when he didn't know something. During one of their early conversations, Susan talked about a time when she had struggled to balance work and family life. Instead of offering advice or trying to fix the situation, John calmly said, "That sounds incredibly challenging. How did you manage to get through it?" His genuine curiosity and emotional stability stood out to Susan. She appreciated that John didn't try to make the conversation about himself. He wasn't rattled or intimidated by her experiences. He was secure in his own life and open to learning from her. As they spent more time together, John didn't try to rush the relationship or pressure Susan into making decisions. He practiced non-attachment. He enjoyed their time together, but didn't place his happiness or self-worth in the outcome of the relationship. If it worked out, great. If it didn't, he would be fine. This attitude was refreshing to Susan, who had been in relationships where her partners were clingy, needy, or constantly seeking reassurance. John's purpose in life wasn't about winning Susan over. He was focused on his own personal growth, his career, and his family. He was passionate about mentoring young people in his field and volunteering at a local community center. Susan admired this. She saw that John wasn't just focused on her. He had a rich, fulfilling life outside of their relationship, and that made him even more attractive. Over time, Susan realized that John embodied the qualities she valued most in a partner: confidence, emotional intelligence, and purpose. He wasn't just looking for someone to fill a void in his life. He was looking for a partner to share in the richness of life's experiences. And because of his stoic approach to life and relationships, Susan found herself drawn to him in a way she hadn't expected. John didn't win Susan over with flashy displays or superficial charm. He won her over by being grounded, thoughtful, and true to himself. And that's the power of Stoicism. It's not about manipulating or playing games. It's about becoming the best version of yourself and letting that shine through in your relationships. Conclusion: becoming the Stoic man who attracts mature women. Attracting mature women isn't about tricks or strategies. It's about becoming a person of substance, someone who embodies the virtues of Stoicism. Confidence, emotional stability, purpose, and non-attachment are traits that go beyond surface-level attraction and resonate on a deeper level. By practicing Stoicism in your daily life, you're not only improving yourself, but you're also becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts others, especially those who value depth, wisdom, and emotional intelligence. These are qualities that stand the test of time, and they're what truly make you irresistible to mature women